So we're up to on the Gemara over here in Megillah. We're up to on page 16b, towards the end of the page. With some luck, we will be able to finish the chapter. I'm not sure if we'll do it today, but we'll give it our best shot. All right. So you see the text, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it says like this: the ace parshandoso, the goimer aseres b'nei Haman. The verse enumerates over there all the 10 sons of Haman that were hung on the tree. So it goes through there. There's a whole listing over there. If you see the bottom of the page. Let's see. Let's see here. It says number 16. So it says like this, that they killed, the king says that Malka, that the Jewish people killed and they destroyed 500 men and the 10 sons of Haman. But that's not really the pasuk that I want. We want the pasuk where it says, that's not the pasuk, it's the wrong pasuk, got to bring down the right pasuk. But then it tells you, it lists all the names of all the sons. Those are the names of all of his sons. The Megillah mentions all the names of the sons. So it says, and then it says, Aseres b'nei Haman, the 10 sons of Haman. So, as you know, in the Megillah, we say all these names together. When we read the Megillah, we just read off the name. And Ace and S and Ace and Ace, this and this and this, all the sons. So this comes from this Gemara here. Omar Rav Ado the Min Yafo. So Rav Ado from Yafo said, Aseres b'nei Haman, that when you say the 10 sons of Haman, and afterwards when it says Aseres, Tzorich lememrinu b'neshima achas, we gotta say it in one breath. All the names, Haskores shmoisei shmoisom, when you mention the name of the 10 sons, and also V'teva asmucha, the word Aseres, which is next to that, you have to say it all together. Kloimar, as to say, what is the meaning of it? Nishmosom noflu ke'echad. All of their souls fell at once, which means they died in one shot. That's why you say, Es and Es and Es, all the names, they all died at the same time. The Gemara says, my time, huh? So what's the reason? Why do we say them all in one breath? Nishima achas. Because kulu bahadi hadodi nafku nishmasayu. All of them, their souls left them at once. They all died at the same time. So that's why you include them all in one breath, that they all died together. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is Rabbi Yochanan. Vov devayizoso tzorich limitcha bizkifa. Let's just, just for the sake of clarity, give me a second over here. You still see the page or no? Still see the page?
Well, now we'll look. Now I can.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to give me 1 second here. I just want to put the right, because it's easier if we actually have the pasuk. So this is the pasuk over here. I quoted before, I had the wrong pasuk. So these are like several psukim together. So you have like Let's see here. Here you have like this. So I'm going to put down here. So over here it continues. That's esposo. And then is the next one. Then we have the next one. Okay. And then we have finally Ceres. So just so that we can see what we're talking about over here. So let's just, we don't need all this so big. So let's just do this. So when you see, these are the verses that talk about the sons. So you have like this. So the pasuk says, these are all the names of the sons here that you have. You see what I'm showing you? You have all the names of the sons.
Yes, Rabbi. So when they say the tivach acharav, it actually means ve'et, right? The name of the son and ve'et.
Yeah, and so you have like this. Just do this. So this is more better. So you have like this. He says, so they killed Seres Bnei Haman, and they also killed Eis Parshan Doso, Ve'eis Dalfon, Ve'eis Asposo, Ve'eis Paroso, Ve'eis Adalio, Ve'eis Aridoso, Ve'eis Parmashto, Ve'eis Arisa, Ve'eis Arida, Ve'eis Vaizoso. And also what he's saying is the word Aseres, the next word Aseres, also should be in the same breath. So you say, Ve'eis Parshan Doso, Ve'eis Dalfon, Ve'eis Asposo, Ve'eis Paroso, Ve'eis Adalio, Ve'eis Aridoso, Ve'eis Arisa, Ve'eis Vaizoso, Aseres. I didn't do it in one breath, but you have to do it in one breath. That's the point over there. You got it?
Yes.
All right.
Because they all died together?
Yeah, because they all died together. So you do it all together.
There's a lot of people. How could it
Those
take?
are the 10 sons. Yeah, the 10 sons of Haman. They were right. And then Rabbi Yochanan says, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Vav de Vayizosa. See, the name of Vayizosa, is Tzorich Limimtcha Biskifa. You gotta stretch it, You have to say that stretch out vertically to represent the fact that all 10 sons were hung on one tree, one on top of the other. So this is the letter Vaizosa. So I guess in the script, you stretch it out, you make it a little bit long. This is the Vav of Vaizosa. So he says Vaizosa was the little guy, the youngest guy. It's called the Vaizosa. So him, you stretch out and you pull him down. Okay? So he said Zikifa. Zikifa, Rashi, Purka Belaz. In Laz, it's called Purka in Old French, I guess. B'tzad echod, zelamat mizeh. In other words, they didn't hang him around the tree, a circle. They just put him one on top of the other. They went like a vav, stretched it down to show that the one under the other one. It is kumirdayo de lavrus, which basically meant like the pole of a barge, straight down. That's the way it was. Okay, so that's another. Then Omar Rab Chanina bar Papa. Says Rab Chanina bar Papa. that Dorash Rab Shilo Ish Kfar Tamarto. So we know in the Torah, usually it goes line after line. But the Shira is made, you have spaces on the line itself, and then you have underneath. So there's different ways it's made. Most of the time, you have text, let's say to the right, and text to the left on line 1. And on line 2, you have blank on the 2 sides and text in the middle. On line 3, again, it repeats. You have text on both sides and you have a space in the middle. So it turns out you have text on top of empty space. The empty space is on top of text. But by the Megillah, we have text, all the spaces are in the middle, and it's text upon text upon text. You see the way you built a brick wall, you don't build one brick on top of the other brick. Each brick sits on 2 bricks, right?
Yes.
And that's the way for the wall to hold. So there is such an inference, the way the text is written over there, and there's one big hole in the middle, so that everything falls down through the hole. That represents that. That's what we'll see. Omar Rab Chanin bar Papa, says Rab Chanin bar Papa, Dorash Rab Shilo ish Kfar Tamarto. Rab Shilo of the village of Tamarto expounded that Kol Hashiris Kulon Nichtovis, all the lines are called, written, Oriach. Oriach is a half a brick. A brick is usually 3 tefachim. A half a brick is a tefach and a half. So he's saying they're all written, but the Oriach here represents the writing. The writing al gabi levena, on the brick. The brick is the empty space. So you have a small on a big. But the Megillah, he'll say, is written, the writing on top of the writing. Ariach hu aksam. Ariach is the writing, the text. Levena, the brick hu cholok. Shu kiflaim in aksam. The empty space needs to be double from the writing. So that's why the Ariach is a half a levena, because the writing is half of the space. And then you have ulevena gabe Ariach. And you have the empty space on top. That's the brick on top of the Ariach. So that means it's half chutz mishirazu, with the exception of this song. In other words, when we talk about the 10 sons, when they're written in the columns, they're written like a shura, with not a straight line, but some in the beginning of the line, some at the end, with spaces in between. But they're written one line to the right and one column to the right and one column to the left, versus interchanging text over empty. But this, they go straight down. And also the Shiro Malchi Knan in the Yoshua in Perikut Beis, over there he talks about the kings of Canaan that were beaten by Yeshua, by the Jewish people. So over there, Shoriach Agabe Oriach. Over there you have the writing is on top of the writing, the text on top of the text, and the empty space is on top of the empty space. So basically, the wall doesn't hold because the bricks are one on top of each other without adjusting it. So my timer, why is it done in such a way? Shaloi tehei tekumah lemapalosim. So there should be no getting up from when they fall. So basically, if there is, if you fall in between, let's say the text, so if there is another text in the middle under the empty space, they can sort of land on the text underneath it. But here you have a hole, you have the text on both sides, so the hole goes all the ways down. They should not have any place to widen their steps underneath, because they fall all the ways down. There is no space in between. That's the hint from that. In both of them, when we talk about the Shira, when we mention the sons of Haman, and also when we mention the kings of Canaan, I guess in the scroll of Yeshua, when they write it in the scroll, they write it in such a way. Further, Vayomer HaMelech LeEsther HaMalko, the king says to the Queen Esther, B'Shushan Abira, Horga Yehudim. In Shushan, the capital Shushan, the Jews killed. So if you look at the verse, Haman King Achashverosh started speaking harshly. He says to Esther, they killed 500 people and the 10 sons of Haman. What else did they do? Another. And then all of a sudden he asks her, oh, what is it that you want? I will give it. How come he started speaking so gently? He was just seemingly telling her how much destruction the Jewish people did. And then all of a sudden, he changes his tone. Omar Rababo says, Rababo, Melamed, it teaches us Shabom Malach v'sotre alpiv, that an angel came and it smacked him on the mouth. So he changed his tone, because otherwise, why would he all of a sudden? He was just saying. Rashi says, Melamed Shabom Malach chulu, Shari Hischel Daber B'Loshen Kas. He started speaking angrily by saying, look what they did already, the destruction. The Sefer Omar, what does he say in the end? What is it that you're asking? Oh, what else do you want? So then we have, later on, the Pasuk. She came to the king, again, Queen Esther, when she came before the king, it should say Omra, she said. It says Omar. Omar is a masculine. He said. Ubevoy O, and when she came, Lifnei HaMelech, before the king. And then it says Omar. He says, with the book. Said with the book means what you say should be written down. In other words, just like he wrote down the letters over there, say with the book. In other words, with the document, with the letter. Say with the letter. But why does it say Amra? She said. It says Omar. He said. Frag the Gemara, Omar. Amra mi boyle. Should have said. She said. Why does it say Omar? Rashi learns like this, that what it means here, we're going to do Rashi's version over here. This word Omar is actually not what she said, but this is what Mordechai said, that we have to relate this whole story that precedes it. We read in the Psukim, many verses, a few verses before, that Mordechai wrote down, and this is part what he wrote down, Ubevoy lifnei HaMelech. So Mordechai is saying, Ima Sefer, you're supposed to read this with the Megillah, this whole story. Let's see in the Gemara. The Gemara asks, Omar, Amra Miboyle, should say she said. Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Amra Loi, Yoimar Bepem Ashekosu B'Sefer. That's the version that we have in our Gemara. Rashi doesn't explain that. We're going to do the Rashi's version. First of all, Rashi says not Rabbi Yochanan. Rashi says Amar Nachman. And he says over here, Yoimar Bepeh Mashenichta B'Svarim. Not Amar Loi, but Amar Nachman. That Yoimar Bepeh. What this means is like this. Mashenichta V'Loi Garsin and Amar Loi. We don't have this Amar Loi according to Rashi. He has changes to Rav Nachman, but he says Amar Vachi Pirusha. And this is the meaning. Say that Amikrois Kacho. This is the order. If you look in the Psukim, it says V'Kibel HaYehudim Eisa Sherechelu Lasis. The Jewish people accepted upon themselves that which they begun. They accepted it as a follow-up, as a holiday of Purim. And then it goes on to tell you, Ki Haman ben Hamdosa Ha'agogi v'Goymer. He tells you about Haman the Agagite, etc. He tried to destroy the Jews. Ubevoya lifnei hamelech. And then when she came before the king, stop. Omarim Sefer. Then he said with the book, which means like this: Mordechai kosav aleihem. Mordechai has written to them, sheyasu Purim. Mordechai told them they should make Purim. Why? Ki Haman bikesh le'abdo. Haman wanted to destroy them. Umashebosa Esther lifnei hamelach, and also that she came before the king b'vayufnei hamelach. So he's saying all this Amarim Sefer basically calls a Yom Shana B'Shana. Every year you should say it year by year, Im Sefer, with the book in front of you. You have to look into the Megillah when you read it, not just say it. So here he's translating it, Amarim Sefer. This is what Mordechai said, that you should read everything you should read with the book. Divrei Shalom ve'emes. He's told them, he wrote to them words. He wrote, Mordechai and Esther wrote Divrei Shalom ve'emes. The pasuk says there, Vayishlach Sforim al kol al Yehudim. He sent them words of peace and truth. What does it mean, truth? Truth is Torah. That means that the Megillah should be treated like the Torah with truth. Omar Rabbi Tanchum, that's what Rabbi Tanchum says. Va'amri lo Omar Rabbi Asi, melamed shetzricha sirtut kamito shel Torah. It makes us that the Megillah needs to be those engraved lines, just like the true Torah, just like the regular Torah, the Sefer Torah, which we know we have a tradition that it has to be written with those engraved, those lines engraved. So is the Megillah, Kamita Shel Torah, Ki Sefer Torah Atzma, just like the Sefer Torah itself. And Rashi says, Sit v'lachem Sinai. Where do we know that a Torah has to be engraved with those lines? That's by tradition from Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Megillah requires the same. Then it says further that Umaymer Esther Kiyam. Esther's saying sustained it, made into a law. It almost sounds like they fasted and it almost sounds like that didn't sustain it. It was just Esther's saying. So the Gemara wonders, Maimer Esther in Divrat Shemasloi, is it only what Esther says, and that did not help sustain the fast that they were doing there? So Rabbi Yochanan says, actually, we're supposed to read it all together. We take the words from the previous pasuk. All this. Divrei hatzoymes b'zakoso. Umaimer Esther. The words from the previous pasuk. Kach smuchim mikrois. That sustained it together with the fasting and the crying and Esther's pleading. Now we say Ki Mordechai Yehudi was Mishnah Lamelech Achashverosh. He was second to the king Achashverosh. The Godel Yehudim, and he was great for the Jews. But here it says Verotzui Leroiv Echov. He was accepted by the majority of his brothers. Somehow, not everybody. Did you ever see anything that Jews agree upon? But not everybody was happy with Mordechai. Mordechai just saved the Jewish people. It says he was majority of the people. Why? Because the fact that Mordechai became involved in the government took away from his learning. Not everybody thought that he did the right thing. So it means majority, but not all of his brothers. Malamis, this teaches us that some of the Sanhedrin separated themselves. Why? Since he wasted now the time of learning, he couldn't get into learning, and he entered into the governance. So they separated. And Rabbi Yosef Taka says, well, Godel Talmud Torah Yosef Matzot Nefashis. Studying Torah is even greater than saving lives. Here Mordechai saved the lives. Before Mordechai saved the life, he was number 5 in the Sanhedrin. After he saved the life, he became number 6. So that means his Torah, the Meikora Choshev Leila Mordechai Basar Daled. In the beginning, Mordechai was counted after 4. Ulebesoy Basar Chamisha. But at the end, he was after 5. He was number 6. And he brings the verses. Meikora, see, when they first came up from Eretz Yisrael into exile, it says Ashaboim Zerubbabel. Who came along with Zerubbabel? Count them. Yeshua 1, Nehemiah 2, Syria 3, Ra'alia 4, and Mordechai Balshan, that's one name, is 5. Mordechai Balshan. And later on, Ulipsoy Ksiv, and then when they went back to Eretz Yisrael, later on, it says Aboim Zerubbabel came Yeshua 1, Nehemiah 2, Azariah 3, Ramya 4, Nachmeni 5, and Mordechai Balshan was 6. Meikora, Bimei Kodesh Ksholim Zerubbabel min HaGoyla, when he went up with Zerubbabel from the Goyla, Mordechai came along with Zerubbabel, Benimnu B'Sefer Ezra. And then they were counted in the Sefer Ezra, so there was Chav Dalet Shonim Hoya Shol Zerubbabel ben Hagolah. Then Sefer Ezra Chav Dalet Shonim Hoya b'Minyan leMinyan. They made Kodesh. So from the days of Kodesh, the Deryovash Achre, when he went up later on, and because he became an officer in the middle, he became an appointed, an official, a government official. Yorad Mechashivosi, he has lost part of his importance.
Maybe Nachmani became more important. It's not that Mordechai became less.
Well, yeah, I hear you, but the Gemara has the other clarification. Unfortunately, I ran out of time here because I need 5 minutes to make the minyan. So we'll just cut it off short here, and we shall continue next week. Bezras Hashem. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Rabbi.